Hey friends, Reid here. I cover the Minnesota Frost for the Ice Garden. I'm super excited to share a project that I have been working on recently. I'm calling it Frost Bites. It'll be a video series, hopefully a number of different things, different types of videos, interviews with players, chats with Ice Garden beat writers, maybe about upcoming Frost games. Got a couple other ideas that I'm working through as well for video types. So please stay tuned. I'm super excited. Episode one, I had a fantastic guest. I got the chance to speak to Kendall Cooper, rookie Frost defender. A great chat with Kendall. We talked about her transition from college to the PWHL. We talked about her recent offensive scoring numbers. We talked about some of the things that she's learned in her first 13, 14 PWHL games. It was a great conversation. I'm super excited for all of you to take a look. I will note we recorded this interview last Thursday, the 22nd. It was the day after the overtime loss to Montreal. And we did run into a slight technical difficulty at the end of the interview, so the last 3.5 or 4 minutes will just be audio. There's no visual for that. But it was a great interview. Kendall had a ton of great insight into the start of her PWHL career, and I am super excited for y'all to get to watch it. And please stay tuned to the Ice Garden for more. There will be more videos coming. Hi, Kendall Cooper. Welcome to the show. This is the first Frostbites episode. You're my first guest. Thanks for doing it. How does it feel to be the inaugural guest?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I'm super excited to chat with you today, and let's get to it.
Great, great. How were a fun one last night? Maybe didn't end quite the way we wanted it to, but or the way you wanted it to, but a nice late goal, push it to overtime, and yeah, it was a good one last night.
Yeah, I think, as a team, I think we wanted to play a little bit sharper at times, but obviously, any point that we can get in this league is important. So for us to get that late goal and take it to overtime, it's good.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any like post game next day routines or things that you like to do, ways to like decompress from a game and get ready for another?
Yeah, I usually watch my shifts. They do a great job of uploading them pretty quickly, so I'll watch my shifts the next day and kind of just see some specific plays that, I thought about during the game and stuff. And then yeah, just kind of move on from there.
Yeah. Awesome. How are you doing with all this cold? I feel like I guess you're Burlington, Ontario native, so it's probably fine for you, but surviving this cold, hopefully.
Yeah, it's some days are a little chilly, but yeah, it's not too much different. I think it's actually nice like having the sun out. Sometimes, it's a little bit more sad when it's just like gray and cloudy. So the sun's nice and yeah, I think I would be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to some warm weather soon though.
Yeah, for sure. The sun helps a little bit. Okay, so speaking of that, and maybe going backwards a little bit, curious about like you, obviously a number of great players coming out of Burlington, Ontario. You found your way to Quinnipiac for college hockey. What was that? What was that process like? Your recruiting process, and why did you ultimately end up at Quinnipiac?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't remember like a whole lot of it because when I began my recruiting process, I was at the end of grade 8, so I was quite young. This was before they installed the rule where you couldn't speak to players until grade 11. So I was much younger. But I think, my parents did a great job of kind of guiding me through that process and understanding like hockey's one thing, but which program do I want to study? How strong the school is, like academic wise, was important as well to me. So ultimately, QPAC had a great balance of both the hockey program and also academics, and that's ultimately why I went there.
Yeah, that's yeah. Uh, and you were in college in such an interesting time. I'm curious, like you kind of entered college with maybe like one outlook for where your hockey career specifically could go and things could look like, and then as you were there, it sort of changed maybe, and the PWHL sort of became a thing. Like, what was that like, kind of entering college with maybe one perspective on where your career might go, and then having that kind of like really change probably as you were in school?
Yeah, it's interesting because, yeah, playing my last few years of minor hockey, and I knew my goal was to play university. But after that, like, I really didn't know. I wanted to push for a shot at the Olympics at some point. But other than that, like, I wasn't really sure what my goal was. And then I think it was my junior year that the PWHL formed. And then I was like, okay, like, this could be something that I could play in. So I think it was really cool to kind of, have something to really work towards, excuse me, like in my senior year, in my fifth year, and now we're here.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously getting here draft day was probably a huge day, a big step. When you were coming out of school, were you kind of confident that the Frost was where you were going to be? I'm sure you talked to plenty of teams. Like, as you were going into draft day, did you have an idea of kind of where you thought you might land, and did that sort of match up with how things happened?
Yeah, I had no idea where I was gonna land. I wasn't sure like which round I would go or anything. My agent was great at, being very transparent with me about like which GMs and coaches wanted to talk to me and were interested. But at the end of the day, like I think we saw it in the draft, there was a trade, a pretty big trade
Yeah.
in that first round. So a lot of stuff changed and a lot of things happened. So I was super excited to just experience that day itself and to get drafted in Minnesota is awesome. Obviously, they're back-to-back champs, so they have a great culture and coaching staff here. So I was super excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. Had you spent any time in Minnesota before coming here for like tournaments or anything like that, or was this all kind of just brand new to you?
Yeah, it was pretty brand new to me. I never been to Minnesota for any hockey tournaments before. I guess we have a lot in Canada, so we didn't have to travel all the way over here. But yeah, so it was all new. But one of my best friends from college, she is from Minnesota, so I visited a few times, but not for hockey.
Yeah, I mean, makes it pretty easy when you're in Canada. You don't really no reason to go anywhere. You've got plenty of people to play right there. Yeah. Yeah, so you mentioned, coming in to a team that's won back-to-back titles and sort of trying to find your way in a team like that. I would imagine, what was that process like of just like moving to a place that you've never been to before, joining a team that has a core that has been here for a while, but also has gone through a ton of change, specifically last year. Like, what was that process for you like to move here and join a new team? I'd imagine there's a lot going on for you at that time.
Mhm. Yeah, I was definitely looking forward to it. Being at QPAC for 5 years, you get very comfortable, with everybody, with the staff, with the players that come and go and stuff. So I was super excited for this new opportunity. At the same time, I think there's definitely some nerves that go with it, moving a bit further away from home than Connecticut was, and a whole new team, coaches that I've never played for before. So, yeah, it was good. I think I'm still learning like every day. We've only played 13 or 14 games now. So there's lots of learning to still be done, but yeah, it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, for sure. It's, as an outsider, it's incredible to me. One of the things I've found so interesting is just the way that the balance between like having to win and then also development, especially for a player like you who, first round pick. But when you came in, training camp, and you were playing a ton right away, like, over 20 minutes a night, and it, just sort of like, here we go, we're doing this. Like, did that Did you know that was kind of how it was going to go for you going in? I think it's, I would imagine that's, a big change, new league, new team, and then you're just diving right into it.
Yeah, I didn't know how it would go. I think based on the expansion draft, Minnesota lost a lot of players, and
Right.
two of their defensemen in Sophie Jace and Claire Thompson. So I knew there was some defensive opportunities, and I just tried to kind of take in as much as I can. Playing with Lee Steckline for my first game obviously was very helpful. She's very easy to play with, and she saved me a lot of shifts in that game. But it just gave me kind of the confidence to, be like, okay, like I think I can do this. And each practice I'm going against amazing forwards, some are on the US Olympic team and the Czech Olympic team. So getting pushed in practice a lot only translates to games, which is really helpful.
Yeah, totally. You mentioned Lee Steckline there. She's, yeah, on an incredible, always been incredible, on an incredible run of this year of not allowing goals and playing defensively. I'm sure she's also provided a ton of insight and help off the ice, outside of games for you to, help you acclimate to this new team and this new league.
Yeah, for sure. I just watching her in practice, even in the details with her stick and her body position. The coaches always say, just watch Lee because she's always doing the right thing. So that's been really helpful. And even the forwards too, I think understanding and learning about how forwards play in this league can really help me in my defensive play. So learning from them, older ones with more experience like Kelly Panic and Kendall Coyne, but also the younger ones too, Heisey's, everyone honestly has been really helpful in that.
Yeah, that's I think that it's such a great point of just like not only the defenders but also forwards and sort of just trying to get acclimated to the game. One of the things you and I talked briefly, I don't know, maybe it was early December. Time, I don't know. Time seems, I don't even know. But we just briefly about like the speed of the game, and like you've
Mhm.
obviously played already at like some of the highest levels. But just could you talk a bit about the speed of the game and how fast it is? And, like you said, we're, I don't know, 13 games in, I think. Does it feel like it's slowed down at all, or do you feel at least more comfortable at that higher speed?
Mhm. I definitely feel more comfortable, but at the same time, I think, you know, it's really fast, and you pair that with really skilled players, so you can't take a shift off. And I think the most important thing for me is just being able to use my feet and trust my skating, so that it doesn't feel overwhelming out there. Because I think the first couple games it definitely did. And then, once you figure out, players' tendencies, forwards that you're playing against and getting matched up against, it makes it a lot easier. So I think, just getting more games under my belt and then, playing against opponents that we've already played against has really helped me get more confident out there.
Yeah, for sure. And you had a great start to your PWHL career. You did go 4 games. Those first 4 games, you didn't have a point before you had something like 7 in a row. I can't imagine you've gone 4 games in your career many times without scoring a point. I can't imagine that's happened very often for you. How did you keep that confidence and know that like the points are going to come, the offense is going to come, I'm doing the right things, through those 4 games? How did you keep that confidence up? And then obviously, uh, yeah, you're scoring in bunches now.
Yeah, for me, I think I don't really play the game to get points or anything. Obviously, it feels good to contribute to the team scoring, and hopefully, if we score a lot of goals, we'll win the hockey game. So, yeah, it obviously feels good to contribute, but for me, especially in those first 4 games, it's just making sure I'm doing the right thing out there, kind of checking all my boxes, like in the D zone, having good body position, and making plays, simple, hard passes. I knew that like it would come, but it wasn't really a big focus for me. I think one of the stats I more focus on is the plus minus because I never want to get scored on, and then if I'm contributing on the ice, then that's always a positive for me. So.
How do you balance? I feel like you guys have had a lot of games in short periods of time, and then with international hockey, some breaks. Like, does your routine change at all, or are you sort of kind of doing the same thing? Whether it's you've got a longer break or a shorter break between games, you sort of try to stick to the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of a creature of habit in that sense. Like I have the same routine on game days and even practice days and stuff like that. I think I don't know any different because it's my first season, so I'm kind of just going with whatever schedule we have. But yeah, I think it's been kind of weird. Like we've only played, I think that was our fourth home game now, which feels weird. We've played 13 games. So excited to have a couple more home games here before the Olympic break. Hopefully we can get 6 points out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned plus minus there a minute ago, sort of how you're sort of thinking about your own individual game. As you look forward, 2 more games here, Olympic break, and then the second half. How else are you sort of evaluating your own game and sort of the growth as you sort of look back on games and look forward? How do you yeah, evaluate your growth or think about your improvement?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just watching video. I've been watching video with the coaches a lot after every game. So kind of seeing like, where was I 4 games ago? Like, would I have made those plays? And, just like kind of taking it game by game. I think also doing like skill sessions. I've had a lot of scoring chances. So just trying to, stay confident when shooting the puck. And yeah, just making plays and not thinking too much also. I think I can overthink sometimes and get in my head. So kind of just remembering to have fun with it all.
For sure. And that maybe that feels like a positive of like you were saying about this being your first year and kind of having eyes open. It maybe stops some of that overthinking, I would imagine, if you're just a bit more of like going with the flow and
Hmm.
practices with schedules and things and just sort of yeah, have that sort of learning mindset.
Yeah, for sure. I think with that, I think it's kind of also seeing what the returning players do day to day, like how they take care of their body, the attitude and the work ethic they bring to practice every day and everything like that, I think, because I don't know any difference. So kind of learning from them in that regard has been important too.
Yeah, totally. Last one. Thank you again. Last one.
Of
What are
course.
you number one thing you are most looking forward to with the upcoming Olympic break?
I'm most looking forward to watching hockey and watching my teammates. We have 6 US Olympians and then 2 Czech Olympians. So I'm excited to watch them at that stage. I think it's so cool. Obviously the Olympics only come every 4 years. So for them to have this opportunity is really special. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be able to share the ice with them at the
Yeah, for
Frost.
sure. For sure. Do you have an Olympic pick you wanna put down for a gold medal before we hang up here?
I
This is
I don't
tough.
think
I
I
don't want to.
can do
I don't
that.
want to put you into a corner. You've got USA teammates, Canadian. You can bow out if you want. I won't force you to.
Yeah, I'm gonna bow out on that one. But
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. Well, thank you again for doing this. I appreciate it, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.